Welcome, everybody. We are back with another Rock Talk with DocRocker podcast. I am Jeff Bonomo, joined once again by the DocRocker himself, Dan Arlotto. Hello, how are you doing, sir?
Yo, it's been a couple of weeks. How's it going?
Yeah, it has been a couple of weeks. We're all doing better now. We had some problems for the last couple of weeks. Every time we tried to do something was going on. We had Easter holiday. But now we're back, and we're going to do something that we really haven't done much of before. What are we doing today?
Yeah, so we're just going to kind of catch up, basically, and, just kind of talk about whatever pops up. We're going to kind of largely improvise. We usually have like a kind of framework, like, oh, we're going to talk about a specific topic. We're going to review these specific albums. And today we're just going to kind of just catch up on whatever, catch up with what music we've been listening to over the past couple weeks, since we haven't done an episode in a while. We're going to take a little ride down the Facebook group page for Rock Talk with DocRocker and check out some posts from Mr. Jeff, from myself, from some of our followers, and just kind of acknowledge some things that we can talk about, some exciting upcoming stuff, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, is jumping right into the Rock Talk with DocRocker Facebook group. If you're not a member yet, go to our Facebook page, become a member, and of course subscribe to this because we want more subscribers. We like when people give us feedback, and the Rock Talk page on Facebook is growing. It's growing and growing and growing like every week. Our YouTube page isn't growing as fast. We'll say that. So
yeah, it's always tough to get subscribers. But it definitely helps. And it definitely, if you do subscribe, a subscription is basically a glorified bookmark. So it doesn't really hurt to do it. So you might as well do it. And that way you could see as soon as we post new episodes. And of course, it helps you get a little more involved, because all of what we do with the Facebook group and with the YouTube channel it's all in the effort of starting a dialogue, because I mean, Jeff and I could sit here and talk your ears off and go into all sorts of stuff about everything, but we like to hear what you guys have to say too. We always get excited when other people make posts, when people comment on our videos. We know you're listening, but it's nice to see the reminders too. Like, people are acknowledging what we do. People enjoy what we do. People like what we do,
Absolutely. I totally agree. And the more you post and the more you connect with us, the more we'll want to do more. I like to talk to people about music, no matter.
And the more we'll know how to focus our content too, because we can kind of see, we could trace through our episodes of which ones had better reception than others, and then that can help. If you guys give that feedback and that input, that helps inform us for the next episodes to be a little more focused on stuff that you like to listen to. So it makes our videos better in the future.
Absolutely. Now, enough with begging. Today we're recording this at Friday, April 9th. So we're going to start with what happened today in rock history. I posted this on the Rock Talk with DocRocker board group. Sorry, the group. I keep calling it a board. I'm old school internet. I'm talking like webboard. It's a Facebook group, Jeff. Stop being so old. Okay. On this day in 1983, Dave Mustaine played his final gig with Metallica. And the next morning, they woke him up, gave him a bus ticket, and sent him home. And so, pretty much shortly after, that's when the world got Megadeth, So was this a good thing? Was this a bad thing? What do you think?
Well, as a Megadeth fan, I'd say it's a good thing, because I don't know. I've never really been super into Metallica. I like them. When I first started getting into metal, I naturally, arbitrarily had to check them out. So, And Justice for All, Ride the Lightning. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool stuff. I never quite caught on to it as quickly as I did with Iron Maiden. And anyone who's following the channel knows that Jeff and I are both huge Iron Maiden fans. So I always kind of went more in the new wave British direction than the thrash direction. But, in recent, especially since we started this podcast, getting into trying to explore different genres and really digging into thrash a little more properly this time, checking out the other guys, I recently got way into Megadeth. One of our assignments a couple weeks ago, I listened to their newest album, Dystopia, which actually is not longer going to be their newest album pretty soon, right? They have a new album coming out, I think, later this year.
Soon. Yeah,
very soon. So I'm pumped for that because I loved Dystopia. I loved Rust in Peace. I've listened to that so many times since we started this channel. So if I had to pick a thrash group that I put at the top, for me, it's Megadeth. So for me, it's, it sucks what they did to Dave Mustaine. It's completely heartless and cruel. And I have issues with that, and it's part of probably why he has the issues he has with the whole situation. But it's one of those, everything has a reason. Everything happens for a reason, and I think it was inadvertently a good thing that it happened. And if it happened on this fateful day, then I call it as a call to celebrate. So
Absolutely.
without it, we wouldn't have Megadeth, and we wouldn't have all those albums that are so celebrated. And Dave Mustaine would definitely have had as illustrious a career, I don't think, if he was not provided that opportunity to go out on his own.
Right. And for him, he had the fire. He had that, like, he had to do it.
Like, screw those guys. I want to prove myself. Yeah. I can be better. I can make something better than that. And I would say Megadeth's better, but that's because I like them better. But that's just a matter of opinion. All you Metallica fans out there, feel free to tell me otherwise, and I'll listen. But I'll always prefer Megadeth.
I do too. And it just, I like the aggression. I like the sound more. When Metallica, they kind of got to a point where they got so big, they kind of had to become commercial, I think. And they're probably the biggest heavy metal band in the world next to Iron Maiden, arguably. Yeah. No, but
they're definitely the biggest.
Yeah, but Megadeth to me, I always loved more. A friend of mine from high school, Lenny Darren, says, personally, I'm glad things went the way they did. Could you imagine never having peace cells or rust in peace? And I told him, hey, I don't want to live in that kind of world.
Yeah, I see that now. I'm looking at the comments. Yeah.
Dan Angelo, who we've had on the show before, he agrees, and he says Dave may not be the nicest guy historically, neither are Metallica, but that dude is absolutely the king of thrash. James and Lars would only have held him back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Definitely, because for all the reasons I just stated. And then we got Mr. Kurt Lowe posted the Rock Gods know what they were doing. So
yeah, now let me say something about Kurt Lowe. Kurt Lowe is the singer for the internet famous band Complete. He's something of a big deal. I don't know if you know of the band Complete. If you don't. I'll send you their videos. They're great. They are one of those bands that really got famous through the internet. They're a viral hit basically. And Kurt Lowe took that and he ran with it. He has a band now called Complete. They played South by Southwest many times. They've done tours. Kurt Lowe's a great guy too. I've had a chance to talk to him throughout the years. I'm glad Kurt now is talking with us on the Rock Talk board. He has a lot to say. Awesome. Yeah, Kurt's a cool guy. Kurt's a really cool guy. And finally, Jay Luke, he joins in and he says a local drummer from the Rods were on that bill at the same time as Metallica played that last show. And Jay Luke's another excellent musician from the Scranton area. He just released, I believe, an album. Good stuff, though, if you like that kind of like, it's almost like a little bit of an 80s throwback, but he still has some nice modern sound to it. It's kind of like a mesh of different genres he does. Jay Luke's a great musician. A little shout out to him. So, yeah, so that's our first thing there. Our first post, the latest post on the Rock Talk board. That's what's going on. Yeah. Moving down. Yeah, we got a weird one, man.
Yeah, we got a weird one. What's going on?
Dennis DeYoung, formerly of Styx. I don't know if you watched this yet. No. It's a weird song, but you know what? I like it. It's proggy. It's kind of neat. It works for some reason. It starts out kind of ballady, then halfway through kicks in with some like almost kind of like a Kansas kind of sound on the keyboards to kick it in. You got to check this out. This is really neat. I'm looking forward to hearing more of this. I didn't expect that from someone like him, who's mainly just kind of like a balladeer kind of singer. He was in Styx in that era where they started writing a lot of radio-friendly ballads. That's what he's known for. This is not that. This is some kind of weird experimental thing, which I really like. You should check it out as soon as you can. It's
I just pulled it up. You probably heard a little second of it because when I clicked the link, maybe we could check out a little bit, do a little bit of a first impression, and kind of take this. What do you think? Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, you know what? Play a little bit of it. Let's play a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, let me pull it up. So I'm going to share. So I have, like I said, I just clicked the YouTube link. So you know, and for obvious reasons, so we don't get flagged by YouTube, I'll just play a little snippet of it and then we can talk about it. And we'll
let's play a little bit of
yeah.
play a little bit of the beginning, then go like maybe to the middle, because that's where it kind of starts really kicking in.
Okay. Okay, starting off with the ocean. Ooh, a pirate ship. I'm already sold.
Pirates are great.
Pirates are
pirates.
awesome. Just ask Hailstorm. Nice little Zeppelin-esque descending chromatic bass line there. Cool.
Long ago, in ancient times, we learned of life from minstrels' rhymes.
Always love this guy's voice.
Yeah, it's really pretty. And that acoustic guitar has a really nice sound, too.
When sirens sing.
Very cool. So definitely a solid, you know, setting the tone for like an epic kind of tale. And given that the song is over 6 minutes long, it, you know, and given that, you know, not just because you were already telling me like, oh, we got some like Kansas-esque moments here and there, but even if I had no knowledge of that prior, I would have an expectation that this is going to really take me for a ride and tell me some kind of story. So
It does. I don't know what the story is, but there's some kind of story there.
yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, who cares? You know, I never get too hung up on the story of things, but we'll throw this a like. Let's see, am I subscribed to Dennis DeYoung? Let's subscribe to him, as you should subscribe to us. Let's keep going. Let's do another minute.
But
Yeah.
when we heard the clarion call, all the people laughed and built a wall. How we joyfully rehearsed the tune, like howling wolves at
Doggies.
noon.
And here we
We've
go.
all been taught our lines,
We need to start wearing glasses like that.
so righteous with our holy sign.
All he's missing is a cape.
To the lies
Yeah,
we were
he
blind,
needs a kick.
and unkind and unwise.
So a lot of buildup going on.
And will we
Yeah.
ever
It's coming
We have
though.
more bass, higher
all
vocals.
empires built will someday
Makes those high notes sound easy.
when they've
Yeah, he still can sing.
all concerned
Yeah,
and they
yeah, yeah.
fail just to listen and learn.
There it is. There's that nice like symphonic. Yeah, oh, very cool. I can't wait to hear where it goes from here. But yeah, it kind of gives me, funny enough, you know, we've gone on record in the past, you know, and we've talked about my general distaste for stuff like Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but
Yeah.
I feel like this is sort of in that same vein, but done really, really well. You know, not that TSO is bad per se, they're just not my cup of tea. So
Yeah,
let's see,
this has
where
actually
we
more
go.
like more like a Kansas vibe to it, but a little bit of like almost a little bit of like symphonic metal kind of thrown in there too.
Okay, yeah, I get the feeling we're gonna have like a really nice kind of slow, groovy American prog rock, real nice, cool riff. I have high expectations. I'm gonna back it up
comes.
just a second so I can hear that arrival and then hear how the groove sets in.
Cool.
No more life, no more air,
Oh yeah, that's wacky.
like a ship of fools and drift on the Baltic Air. No more joy, no more hope.
All the singing monks kind of give me like a little bit of that like Bohemian Rhapsody vibe, a
Yeah,
little bit.
I think he's been listening to some power metal.
Yeah, he definitely has that. Yeah, he definitely sounds like a power metal singer in this section, not just because of the high nature of the melodies, but just the way he's carrying his voice, that like operatic tone quality, that
Yeah,
lots of use of vibrato, really shaking the voice a lot, really giving it that emphatic sort of vibe. I like it. Let's keep going.
yeah, it's very like this, an older guy's like really channeling like this power metal-y stuff.
Yeah. Imagery is real wacky. I like it though. Yeah, that keyboard segment with the organ there and the synth.
Mhm.
What the heck Boston song does that make me think of? It's very, very similar.
The long time.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's I believe the song is called Long Time or something similar to that. Yeah, there's a whole intro to.
It's in the same key too. Funny enough, that's probably why I'm thinking of it. But that just the organ sound is so similar. That triplet idea, those little 3-note groups that are moving up really quick. It's got a lot.
The song's actually called Foreplay by Boston. It's foreplay and it goes into the song Long Time. It's been such a long time. I think I should be going. That song.
I don't know the lyrics. I don't know. I've heard it before.
Yeah, the beginning of the song is this big kind of proggy kind of thing with a keyboard just like that. That's Foreplay, and it goes into the song Long Time. It's usually
I'm
played
definitely
together.
thinking of Foreplay then, because the music I'm remembering is largely instrumental. I don't remember there being vocals.
Yeah, the whole thing is that the whole first part is all instrumental, but it goes right into the next track. Time.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes right into the next track. It's like 2 snare hits, boom, boom, and it goes right into the next song.
You could definitely tell where this guy's coming from, which is funny. Yeah. Now, I'm going to show my ignorance here. Formerly of Styx, was he the singer for Styx, or was he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the Mr. Roboto guy. He was the lady, the Come Sail Away guy.
Okay, yeah, because Styx is one of those groups for me. Like, I heard them, when I was growing up, and I was getting into like stuff like Kansas, and I remember hearing them and really liking it. And then, so naturally, my piano teacher, Matt McGasco, gave me like a little mix CD that just had a whole bunch of different stuff on it. And it was one of those, it just said Styx on it, and it had like 20 songs. So I don't know, like if it was like an album or 2 albums, or if it was like a compilation, or I don't know what the heck it was, but I listened to it a few times. It never hooked me quite the same way Kansas did, but I always remember thinking, yeah, Styx is one of those groups I should check out. And you fast forward 15 years, and here we are, and I haven't done that yet. So I'm looking at my music queue. I'm gonna have to make sure if they're not
Paradise Theater.
They're on there.
Paradise Theater. That's a good album by Styx. Pieces of Eight. There's a lot of good stuff that they've done. Some stuff better than others.
Pieces of Eight.
Kilroy was here. You can check out Kilroy was here if you want. That was like their big kind of rock opera with Mr. Roboto on it, and I'm pretty sure that's when Dennis DeYoung had to leave the band. It's a little.
I'm not sure how much I'd like that, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, not many people like that.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll see.
I like the song because I remember the video. I remember being on MTV. It's a cheesy '80s song. That's not really what Styx was about, And
they were more like. I remember, like for me, when I was playing in a band with a bunch of Matt's cronies. Because naturally they asked him to do it, and he was busy or whatever reason he chose not to. So he actually volunteered me. So I don't know if you ever knew that. I was in a band with a bunch of dudes like my parents' age.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the folks that are in the network with the golden age of rock and roll, 70s flashback, all those that crowd. I was playing with them for a year or two when I was in high school, kind of like as Matt's apprentice, like his protege. He kind of threw me in. Nice. So I still have a huge binder full of all, because I didn't know any of the songs. Naturally, I didn't grow up with any of it, so I had to learn all the music. So I did, I worked on it with Matt in my lessons, did a bunch of transcriptions, and wrote everything down. And the Styx song that we did that still rings with me to this day is Sweet Madam Blue. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, that's what Styx is probably most well known for. That really like more progressive, like big chorales, these big like 3-part, 4-part harmonies with all the different vocals, and there was a lot of awesome synth playing in it that was really fun to learn. It was great. They
have a lot of good songs kind of in that vein, like Blue Collar Man is another one. Renegade is one of my favorite Styx songs. That's
like I've heard that, but I can't think of how it goes off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to sing it. I'm not singing for you. So, let's move on to something next that's even more up your alley. That is, after 22 years, we're only 1 week away from the new Liquid Tension Experiment album.
Yes. Ooh, yeah. I've been dying to talk about this. I am pumped.
Go ahead, man.
Unfortunately, they had that first release a couple weeks ago, Oh my god, I'm completely blanking on the name of the song, but we listened to it and we ended up getting
Yeah.
flagged, because
Yeah,
we just
could've-
didn't
we
listen
could've-
through the
yeah.
whole thing, and naturally we can't do that, as we now know. But yeah, I haven't listened to it since. I'm trying to like keep it off my radar until the full album is released. I think Jordan Rudess, the keyboard player, posted some other stuff that's coming up. Maybe they released another song or two off of it as a preview. I haven't checked any of it out. I'm kind of waiting. I want to experience the whole album as fresh as possible. I don't want to spoil any of it for myself.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I'm waiting with bated breath right now for next week when that drops. I'm going to get it, listen to the whole thing, probably 3 or 4 times in a row, judging these guys. But
I love the fact that it's Rudess, Portnoy, and Petrucci together again. I love it.
Yeah, it's one thing to have the first 2 albums where it was like, oh, here's this cool instrumental off-spin thing from Dream Theater, and it's like, okay, this is great. This is Dream Theater without James Labrie, and much to the pleasure of many fans who don't like him as a singer, it's like, well, this is the definitive experience because we get all the good stuff without the singer we don't like. And naturally, I don't agree with that. I've gone on record before in the show, and we did a Dream Theater episode, with Brendan, and and we talked about that a little bit. I love James Labrie's voice. And the more it goes on, the more I like him, and even all of the post Portnoy stuff I've really grown into over the past couple of weeks. I picked up, like Distance Over Time, their self-title. I gave those albums another listen over the past couple of weeks. And I love everything about it, except for the fact that it doesn't have Portnoy. But, Mike Mangini is no slouch. He is a fantastic world-class drummer, and he contributes just as much to the band as Portnoy did, I think, which is nice. So, yeah, so I think this is going to be a real reckoning for a lot of prog rock fans all over, because now it's been like so many years, even since Portnoy's departure from Dream Theater. What was that, 2011? 2010?
It's been a while. Yeah, I mean, it's been about 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been, Dream Theater put out several albums. Petrucci had that whole Astonishing thing that they did in 2015, I want to say. I forget. I listened to it when it dropped. I didn't care much for that one, but
I think they've done three albums with Mike Mangini now. I think.
So they did, it might be 4, because they did Dramatic Turn of Events was the first one.
Right.
Without Portnoy. And then I think it was the Astonishing, then the self-title, Distance Over Time. There might be another one that I'm forgetting about. Yeah. There's like 3 or 4 like solid full-size albums, and there's a lot of great content on it. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear them back together with the same, lineup they had before.
You're right. 4.
Was it 4?
Yeah, it's 4.
I feel like there was one that I was, maybe I'm missing like a compilation or a live album.
Yeah, you may be missing a live album or something, but this is just studio album.
I never count those.
Last one with Portnoy was Black Clouds.
Yes.
And Black Clouds and Silver Linings was 2009.
Yep.
Turn Events was 2011. Dream Theater's 2013. 2016 Astonishing, and then Distance Over Time was 2019.
Yeah, which feels like just yesterday, really.
Oh, yeah. Time barely exists anymore.
Yeah, thanks to COVID.
Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking, oh, that happened last week. No, that happened 2 years ago,
Yeah, exactly. I feel exactly the same way. So yeah, looking forward
to it. Looking forward to it. I'm sure we're going to be doing a review on it.
Oh, we're definitely going to be doing a review on it. That's going to be both of our homework probably next week, is listen to that as many times as possible.
Now, the next thing on the list here on the group is something that was a little bit controversial. Our friend Allie, she posted a coffee cup she has that says That Metal Show on it. Now, That Metal Show was a show that ran for quite a few seasons on VH1 Classic, I believe. Eddie Trunk, Don Jameson, and Jim Florentine. That's who it was. The other guy I couldn't remember was Don Jameson. I'm sorry, Don. He's actually, some of them are actually my Facebook friends, and it's like,
well, you can't remember everybody in your entire life forever,
Yeah, well, you know what, though?
We're all human.
I did. I really like the show. All episodes are on YouTube, by the way, if you want to look them up. And I still listen to Eddie Trunk every day. Sometimes he gives us some info. He gives us some topics, pretty much, that we've stolen from him and used on our podcast here, because some of it's like good stuff. Now, some people didn't like that there was such a narrow focus. Like what they called metal is what the mainstream calls metal. It was mainly classic metal, I'd say. And a lot of times they kind of talked about hard rock bands that a lot of people wouldn't consider metal.
Like,
And some
yeah,
people,
like Aerosmith, AC/DC, stuff like that.
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they'd also talk, about real metal bands. They talk Dio. They would talk Sabbath. They would talk Megadeth.
I was gonna say they probably hit thrash at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Metallica.
Yeah, but I mean,
Slayer, all that.
they're not really talking about like black metal that much, or
Yeah, or
anything
doom
like that,
metal or
extreme. Yeah, they're not talking a lot of extreme metal.
None
stuff.
of the new metal, no Slipknot, no Disturbed.
They would talk about that stuff more actually than any of the extreme stuff.
Oh,
now,
okay.
now, some people on this thread were saying like, they should have had such a narrow focus. Well, you know what? Like, they still didn't call the shots. They were working for VH1 Classic. I'm sure they probably were like, hey,
on viewership and sponsorship and getting more people to watch it.
Right.
So,
I mean, you still
let's do the stuff.
Like when you're making a TV show, like even when I make because if anyone doesn't know, I work in television and I do make a television show called Wine Hops and Road Stops, and I also make a travel show called Off the Beaten Path. There's a lot of times, like if there's something that's kind of going to go out of what we're supposed to be doing, I still have people to answer to. But they probably had a lot of problems, trying to get more heavier bands on. I'm sure they did, because the mainstream still thinks that fans like us that like that stuff don't exist. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. But
not to mention the artists in question would have probably turned an offer like that down anyway. Like, no, we don't want to be on your stupid show. We don't want to sell out to the wrong audience. We want to kind of focus more on performance and kind of staying underground.
Yeah, who knows, man? I know.
Base,
I'm pretty sure Kiss refuses to be on their show. Ozzy's not. Sharon wouldn't let Ozzy go on the show. I remember that.
That's funny.
Some people are saying like, okay, Eddie Trunk's an arrogant person, and the other guys are comedians. They don't know what they're talking about. Here's my take on that. Eddie Trunk is a very, very knowledgeable guy about heavy metal. He's knowledgeable and he's passionate. He's been doing this for a long time. I think he's maybe 52 years old, but he's been working in the industry in radio and working for Megaforce Records. I believe he worked for Megaforce Records for a while. He's been in the industry for probably like 17 years old until now. He knows his stuff. He loves his stuff. I have nothing but respect for a guy. I don't find him to be arrogant at all. He just knows his stuff. He knows metal,
I'm sure he has opinions.
Yeah, he has opinions, sure. And he likes classic metal. So, there's holes in my metal knowledge. There's holes in your metal knowledge, but I'm never going to call you arrogant for the stuff you do know, So I don't get that part, and it was just like, again, mainstream show on VH1 Classic. Now, there's another show, Banger TV, their YouTube channel, talks more about extreme metal. If you really like that stuff, go over to Sam Dunn's channel and take a look at that. He's the one that did the documentary, A Headbanger's Journey. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen that, that's a fantastic movie. But as far as this show goes, I think it was a great show for what it was. It was a mainstream version of what everyone thinks heavy metal is. And they had some really good interviews, really good guests. And I don't know, I liked it. That's all I got to say about that.
That's good. Yeah. I'm sure you're not alone.
Oh, no, I'm not. There's a few people that didn't like it as much, a friend of mine, James, is saying like, the best bands that appeared on the show were usually on the host's t-shirts. I agree. Don Jameson used to wear a lot of like doom metal and stoner rock band like shirts, like real obscure bands. He would just throw the shirt on. I guess no one really, cared about the wardrobe. So he would throw on like, I'm pretty sure he was wearing a Crowbot shirt on one episode. So that's awesome because, you gotta support the guys from Pottsville, man. And
yeah.
Crowbot's an awesome band. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's move on to your post. You posted
yes.
little rainbow, long live rock and roll.
Long live rock and roll.
April 8th, 1978, Rainbow released Long Live Rock and Roll, which is a fantastic, fantastic album. So let's talk a little bit about Dio and Rainbow.
Yeah, I mean, what's there to say about Dio that we haven't already said on the show or that hasn't been said about him in general? I mean, especially looking at this album, stuff like Kill the King, Lady of the Lake,
Oh, I love it.
all like the King Arthur sort of stuff. And kind of, when we did our power metal segment, we talked a little bit about how, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow can be arguably considered like a prototype of power metal,
Yeah.
Given all like the King Arthur style content, of their lyric focus, the more
And well,
sort of
the song
symphonic
"Kill the
nature.
King." Listen to that. Listen to the song "Kill the King," man. That's like one of those like gallopy power metal songs,
Yeah, it
H.
totally
Blackmore.
is. I remember when we did the power metal stuff, when I was, getting like into like really checking all that stuff out, like revisiting Rhapsody of Fire and getting into Camelot. I revisited this album in the midst of all of that when I was listening to all this sort of stuff, and it definitely it sparked some resonance with me. I remember really enjoying it. It's probably, I would say, even compared to like their original album, this is probably the definitive Rainbow experience, I would say.
Yeah,
but
this is my favorite one. My favorite one is definitely Love of Rock and Roll.
By far.
And you can
solid.
hear, and with all the Rainbow stuff, really though, you can hear what the little pieces that the power metal bands took and they ran with it. Like the early power metal bands when they like Halloween, they took a little part of Richie Blackmore and ran with it. And then the other power metal bands that came in the '90s, they took what Halloween was doing and ran with it. I'm not saying Richie Blackmore's Rainbow is like the be all end all that started power metal, but
it's definitely one of the progenitors. Easy.
Yeah. Along with
against that.
Yeah, along with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and so on. And we discussed that in the power metal episode, which if you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. And I said this. I came out and said, look, I like the Dio era Rainbow way better because Rainbow had 3 singers. Dio was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And Graham Bonnet came on, and then Joe Lynn Turner. I never heard the album. The last Rainbow album with Doogie White, but I'll get to that.
I never heard any stuff without Dio. I never knew they had other singers. I just checked out the Dio stuff and then left it at that. Could be a disservice. Who knows? But
it depends. It became a lot more commercial.
Okay. See, I probably wouldn't like it as much then.
Some people really like it. My buddy Dave Daszewski, he's saying like that he looks at the Dio era and the Graham Bonnet era and Joe Lynn Turner era, different bands. The Graham Bonnet and Joe Lynn Turner era, they're the same. Like that's when it's like Street of Dreams, I believe, is one of the songs one of the bigger hits. I'm a big Joe Lynn Turner fan. I think he's a great vocalist. Mm-hmm. Graham Bonnet is great too. Doogie White's an excellent vocalist. Now I never heard the album with him. That came out like in the '90s, I believe. But the Joe Lynn Turner, let's just call it the Joe Lynn Turner era of Rainbow, is a lot more commercial, a lot more slick, a lot more produced. And a lot of people like it. There's a big change even in the writing style of these songs. There's a lot less of that almost like proto power metal stuff in the later Rainbow albums. So that's all I have to say about that.
That's what kind of draws me to the early Rainbow stuff that I like. So if that's missing, then count me out.
It is. For the most part, it is, which is really, really strange for Richie Blackmore, because then he went from there pretty much all the way to the Celtic folk side and did Blackmore's Night.
Yeah, which is
mid-90s,
and now for something completely different.
Yeah, he went from trying to get a radio hit to like, I'm just going to play Renaissance music, which has so much more in common with symphonic and power metal than the other Rainbow albums with Joe Lynn Turner.
Yeah, despite the extreme lack of distorted guitar.
Now, if you haven't heard Doogie White, you should listen to this guy cover Iron Maiden, because Doogie White, who played on the last Rainbow album in the mid-90s, he was considered for Iron Maiden instead of Blaze. It may have been down to those two, I'm not sure, but he's gone on record say he jammed with Maiden. He recorded some stuff with Maiden. He recorded some Maiden covers too that I listened to after this thread popped up on Rock Talk. I remembered I remember Doogie White recording some Iron Maiden covers a while back for like a Maiden tribute album. He would have been better than he would have been better than Blaze. That's just my opinion.
Shall we give him a listen?
You could give him a listen if you want. All you gotta do is type out Doogie White Iron Maiden covers. He does "Hallowed Be Thy Name." He does "Evil Men Do."
Well,
Yeah,
let's
give him a
leave
little
what
listen.
men do. I love that song.
It's not bad. It's not. It's again better than what they did with Blaze, but Steve Harris wanted to do something different. That was pretty much the reason. I guess Doogie sang too well. I don't know.
Yeah, let's check it. Let's see. Maybe I'll skip so we can hear just the chorus, perhaps.
Yeah.
Let's maybe probably about a minute in. We'll probably be good enough. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. Here comes the pre-chorus. Here it comes. Yeah, he kind of falls like right on the number line, like halfway between what Bruce Dickinson sounds like and what Blaze Bayley sounds like. It's an interesting blend. He would have definitely been a better fit, but I don't know. I guess I might have had a higher expectation for what I just heard, but that's just me being an overly critical, singing teacher.
My whole thing is the bar set pretty low for Blaze. With Blaze Bayley,
true. I mean, Doogie White would have definitely been better. Easy, but I'm not sure that would still be like an adequate substitution, though. You know what I mean?
Oh no! It would have been, to me. It would have been better. It still wouldn't have been Bruce. And
I'll throw him a like. Because at least it's a solid effort. It's definitely a solid tribute. That's easy to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't totally love that.
No, but like I said, I've heard Blaze do that song too. So if you ever want to hear something a little, ooh, yeah, no. Listen to some of the live Blaze stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it's I've seen. I forget. There's a guy that I follow. He's like a metal critic, and he talks about like each album. It's like a whole like hour-long thing. He goes into Maiden's discography, and he punctuates that with a lot of like footage from live concerts, and that was where I first saw some just little short clips, even of Blaze Bayley performing live, and like just putting the nail in the coffin with a sledgehammer of like, wow, I really, 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 really dislike this singer a lot.
He does some videos with the guy that does all the Nylon Maiden stuff. I can't remember the guy's name.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forget his name too. Oh, it's
Thomas something or other. The classical guitar guy.
Weisen, right? Thomas Weisen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably destroy his last name if I tried to. Anyway, Blaze does some stuff with that, and it's not good. They do a cover of Blood Brothers.
Yeah, you sent me a clip of that on Facebook, and I listened to it.
Oh boy, and it's like it's studio produced too. It's not live. Like the live one's even worse. This is a studio produced video. Like it's tracked. It means that Blaze went into a studio and
they paid money to get it done.
Yeah. And it's just and that's like out of the new Iron Maiden, that is my favorite Iron Maiden song, Blood Brother. It's one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs of all time.
Yeah, likewise. It's one of the best in the world.
It's like, oh my God, I would love to hear a better vocalist sing over what the Nylon Maiden guy is doing.
Why not just get Bruce? That would be amazing.
That would be, yeah. Yeah, well, I'll make a couple of calls.
Yeah, we could dream, can't we?
Well, listen, we're gonna skip down a little bit to
what
Alex's
else we
post. The band called Era, The Visionary. I don't know this band at all.
Oh, I totally
but-
missed this post. I didn't see this. This is just from a day
Yeah.
ago. Oh wow.
Yeah, he posted it yesterday. Apparently, it's a new song, new band. I've never heard them. Listen to it. It is. It's up your alley. I'll give you that. It's up your alley and your brother Adam's alley. And musically, it's fantastic. The vocals are really good until Cookie Monster comes out. But other than that, it's man, is it good. I really like the groove to this. It's kind of proggy. Well, it's really proggy. All
Let's
that
check
stuff,
it
all
out.
that stuff is proggy.
I just pulled it up. Let's
it's
let's
pretty cool,
give
yeah.
it a listen.
Let's listen to a little snippet of it.
We'll do a snippet, and
Yeah.
I could already tell I'm gonna like it, so I'm gonna just go ahead and click that like button. All right, here we go. Yeah, see, I already like this.
That reminds me of Maiden.
Yeah, a little bit. Nice little halftime groove on the drums. Ooh, those moving thirds with the two singers. That is pretty. Yes. Ooh, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome start.
It was pretty cool. It's I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking music with all you youngins a lot more. The
Showing your
growly
age
vocals. The growly vocals don't bother me as much anymore. I just kind of block them out and listen to the music underneath it, or I listen to the nice guy singer because he sounds really good.
That's
So,
the nice thing about a lot of these bands that are doing this kind of stuff, that they're kind of mixing the distorted vocals in with a lot of the clean vocals.
yeah.
There's always something you could latch onto. You know, if you're a drummer, you
Yeah.
could latch onto the grooves. If you're a guitar player, you could latch onto the riffs. If you're a singer, you could latch onto either. Or if you're a screamer, you could listen to either. You know, there's something for every metalhead in a lot of this new music that's coming out. And this is
Yeah.
so this just got dropped this year. I'm seeing
Mhm.
at least the YouTube video came out in January of 21. But
Yeah, he just
Um,
posted. I never heard his band before, but I'll have to check more of
Yeah,
them out. It's cool.
no, yeah, I never
I
heard
like
of it
it.
either. I have to
Yeah.
definitely check them out because a lot of it, as much as I just sang praises of a lot of that kind of stuff, to me sometimes it could get a little samey, you know,
Sure.
where like especially if I'm listening to some of the more technical stuff, like you would think I would love that being like, you know, like the music guy I am and like being a classically trained piano player and stuff, that I would like latch on to like all the different, here's all this beautiful complex music. But then after like listening to 2 or 3 intervals songs in a row, I'm like, all right, I get it. You know, it kind of all starts to sound like the same thing. It just becomes like this gray mass to me. So I know that's probably sacrilegious to say, but that's how I feel. So
No,
we'll see
it
what
was
Alex will
fine.
like. I'm definitely, let's do a little more of that and then we'll move on to some other stuff here. Let's see what else. Then we got my tweet from the other day, so we could skip that. What else?
Well, we go down a little bit more. You got what Charlie Benante's been doing, the drummer for Anthrax, for the last pretty much year, is getting a bunch of different musicians together and doing cover songs. And
Yeah,
he
you
pulled
looks like
some
he covered
talent from,
subdivisions.
yeah, he pulled some talent from Pennsylvania. Brandon from Probot is singing Subdivisions, and this was a very, very cool cover. I maybe it's just because it's Brandon, and I like his voice. I like his band. The bass player, Eddie Collins' son, is the bass player now. Eddie, and their the other son, Keith, go back way back. I don't know Eddie, the bass player, that well, but I know his dad.
Right.
But yeah, this cover was really good. Charlie Benante is such an underrated drummer. He's so underrated. Like,
What's he
and
from again?
He's from Anthrax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the main guy behind Anthrax, which is weird, you know. Like,
Yeah,
he
you don't
writes a
usually
lot-
have the drummer being the pilot.
well, you know, I told you last night what I'm going through, you know, being the pilot of the band.
Yeah.
Not all drummers are stupid. Some of them actually run the band. But no, Charlie actually writes a lot. He writes a lot of the riffs too. I didn't know that. Until like a couple of years ago, he writes a lot of these Anthrax riffs because he can play guitar really well too.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah,
I did
he's
not know
such
that.
great. He's such a great drummer, man. And it's a really good cover. I know you're not a huge Rush fan, but this is my favorite Rush song. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's many Rush fans' favorite. Yeah, that's always one that pops up, especially like any Rush fan who's ever tried to sell me on Rush. They're always like, "Oh, you got to check out Subdivisions." I'm like, "All right."
The thing I like when people cover Subdivisions really well, it's usually they cover it more like Rush plays it live. When Rush plays it live, there's a little bit more. The guitar's a little bit louder in the mix because on the album, the guitar that was
really
the album.
big.
Yeah, it's real. It's back. That was Signals, I believe the album was, and that's when it was real synth heavy, and the guitar took a back seat on a lot of that album. That's the album where Rush was almost ready to call it quits because people were banging heads and stuff because Alex wanted his guitar up and Geddy is like, I'm going to play synthesizer and all this stuff. But when metal bands cover it, they usually put the guitar more in the front. And Alex Skolnick, I believe, is the one playing the guitar on this. Yeah, Alex is playing the guitar on this cover, which Alex is the guitar player from Testament.
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh man, is he a fantastic guitar player? This is a great cover. It really is. I'm just saying, watch it. Charlie's been doing a lot of these things during quarantine, I guess, because he's bored like everyone else. And there's no tours yet, so you know.
What else are we gonna do? Might as well make some music at home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hook up with a bunch of people remotely and make some magic happen.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing, and it's some good stuff. And he always gathers up like the weirdest group of players, and it's not always has to be metal musicians either. He just gathers up these random people and off they go. Now let's see what you did here. I heard you posted something the other day. We're going to talk about you now. You transcribed something for accordion.
For accordion, oh boy, yeah. So
let's talk about your accordion.
Oh, that is a whole different story for a whole different episode, I think. But long story short, I had an accordion in high school that my dad bought for my mom, and it's actually right there in the back, right next to the acoustic guitar. You can see that big bulky case. That's the accordion. The
coolest instrument in the world, right?
It is a very cool instrument, and it's very fun to play metal on. I don't know if you ever heard this, but I could actually do a rendition of Aces High on the accordion. It's really, really fun.
You know what's funny? I believe you played that with me at the church picnic when it got rained out and we went inside. And
that's
I brought my congas.
Okay, so you heard it. You definitely heard it.
So this is going back like 15 years or so.
At least. Yeah.
You were playing accordion. So when we were playing like all these weird classic rock tunes, I know we did Smoke on the Water, and you played the lead accordion on it.
Yeah, because you can do the riff on the left hand, and it's awesome with the bass notes. The accordion is basically a piano that you squeeze. It's amazing. You could do so much on it, and there's so much potential for a lot of really, really fun things. It's not just for polkas. You could literally, you could do anything on the accordion. It's an amazing instrument.
Wait, I know where we did Aces High. Me and you did Aces High at the family's Christmas Day night party the one year.
Did we? Did I have the accordion?
Yes. You were playing it, and I was screaming it because we were drinking.
Well, sure. Well, you guys were. I was probably too young to drink, but
I don't know. Oh yeah. You were too young to drink at that party. That's okay. We'll go with that. Because it was a few years ago, but I wish someone had it on video.
See, because I don't remember that. That was. So
I remember
long
that.
ago.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was quite a few years ago.
It must have been when I first picked it up, because it
wasn't like that long ago, but it was a few years ago.
It had to have been, because I haven't had that accordion for 12 years.
Maybe it was 12 years ago then.
It had to have been more than 12 years ago then. Because so I played it for about a year. This is like going into like my senior year in high school. And then it suffered water damage. I had it outside for an event, and then it got rained on, and then the whole thing got screwed up. Shout out once again to the late great Matt Magasco. He taught me how to play the accordion, and he volunteered to take it to fix it because he claimed he knew how to fix it for me. And he's like, well, give it to me. I'll take it. I'll fix all the reeds and whatever water damage is done with it. So he had it. And that was just the end of it. He had it. And, he's one of those things that like life got away. He never got around to it. And I went for years and years and years without getting it. And in recent months after his passing, I've been in touch with his girlfriend, Trish Lombardo, and we've been going through like all his old stuff, trying to figure out what to do with all of his old music gear and all of his old equipment. And sure enough, in a storage shed somewhere in Hazleton, we were looking through all sorts of junk, and I came across the case, and I recognized the case immediately because the handle was broken on it when I lost it 12 years ago. And I saw the handle was busted, and I thought, don't tell me this is the accordion. So sure enough, I opened it up, and I saw it and I recognized it immediately. And I was about to show her what was wrong with it. So I took it out and I strapped it on and, like, here's what was wrong with it. Cause there was basically a stuck reed that would squeak even if I wasn't pressing anything down. And which naturally means you can't play it because there's just that one droning note going on constantly. So I was about to show her that this is what happened. And I moved the bellows and no sound happened. I was like, oh, did it like dry out miraculously over time? Did Matt fix it and forget about it? I don't know, but I tried playing a couple notes on the keyboard and everything worked fine. I tried a couple bass notes and chords on the other side and it all just kind of worked. So here we go. So I have it back. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been playing around with some pirate music. I've been playing around with relearning all the stuff I used to know on it. I found all my old notes, all my transcriptions and stuff. And, a couple of weeks back, we talked about Dan being a guest on our show. We did a whole segment on video game music, and where it's no secret to anyone out there that I'm a huge fan of The Legend of Zelda. And the most recent installment in the series features a traveling accordion player. So there's a whole bunch of accordion songs, and that's what this transcription is. It's the main theme from the game as played by the accordion. Well, actually, he doesn't play an accordion. He plays this thing called a bandoneon, but it's very, very similar. He's this big flying bird dude named Cass, and he flies around and he plays all these different songs and ballads and things, and he has a really cool accordion-friendly version of the main theme. So I've been playing around with figuring out how to translate all that stuff from his instrument, the bandoneon, to my instrument, the accordion, as well as trying to figure out, I'm actually keeping a catalog now of all the other, I'm going to try to do the whole soundtrack. And there's a live stream coming in the very near future that I'm going to stream and like play all the stuff and show how it all works and, give a little tutorial on how to play, because anyone who plays the piano can pick up and learn how to play the accordion. It's really easy to learn. It's really easy. It's very easy to be intimidated by it because you just see this giant sea of buttons and it's like, oh my God, what the hell is all of that? But it actually follows a really, really specific formula, and it's really easy to pick up. It took me like maybe 2 or 3 months. The hardest thing for me, because I was a little scrawny dude, just holding it and controlling it and, controlling the bellow movements to keep air moving at all times while you play. That was the hardest part for me. Once I got that down and knew what the buttons were, I was able to pretty much do whatever on it. And it's very, very fun. So.
Well, you got some people waiting for the recording of that, I think,
Yeah, I'm sure.
Our friend Brendan, even he thinks the accordion may be the hardest instrument to master. So
I do not agree. I do not agree at all. I gave him a love because I took it as a compliment, but yeah, it's a lot easier than it looks. I would say. I'm no accordion virtuoso per se, and getting to the point where you're a virtuoso accordionist, yeah, I could see that being very difficult.
Like Weird Al, right?
No, not even like Weird Al. Oh man, there's this one guy, I forget his name, but he like,
it doesn't matter because no one's gonna know his name.
Yeah, but he can like play concertinas and bandoneons, and he like does a whole. I've been doing tons of research and trying to figure all this stuff out and see what all the instruments are like, and I'd like to someday get a bandoneon, but they're very expensive, so it's not going to happen soon.
Well, when you do post some the live stream and stuff, make sure you put it on the Rock Talk board.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I'll be putting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all
absolutely.
Coming.
So moving on to another local artist who released some covers last week, Trent Knoll. I have to give him a thumbs up. Trent's been on our board for a while, and he posted 2 covers he did. He's a great guitar player. He did Mainline Murder and he did Dragula. Dragula I listened to when he first put it out, like right as soon as he posted, I wanted to hear his take on the Rob Zombie song. I like that song. I like the earlier you go with Rob Zombie's career, the more I like.
Okay.
And Dragula was I believe from his first solo album. That song always stuck with me. And Trent does a great job with it. It's a great cover. A bunch of local musicians he hired to help him out with that. Trent's a great guitar player, so give him a like too if you can. Good stuff, pretty good stuff there
Awesome.
all around. Like I said, he's a great guitar player, and putting together some covers and stuff. Now, next up, we should probably listen to at least a little bit of the next one because it's the new Halloween single for their upcoming album. We've been listening to everything else. Might as well listen to a little bit of this. This is Skyfall is their first single. Now, on the album, it's going to be around 15 minutes long. This single is like 7 minutes long. So they really chopped up this song. I haven't heard the full version yet. The single version, I've heard it before. You haven't. I like it.
Yeah, I haven't touched it yet. I've been waiting.
It's featuring all three singers that have ever been with Halloween. Little history. Cool. A couple years ago, let's just go all the way back to the beginning. Halloween started off with their guitar player, Kai Hansen, singing for the first EP in the first album. Then they got Michael Kiske in, who's one of my favorite all-time vocalists, to do the albums that you reviewed, To Keeper Part 1, Part 2. They are pretty much like the roadmap for what came next with power metal. They did 2 more albums with him, Pink Bubbles Go Ape and Chameleon, then he was gone. In the 90s, they got a guy named Andy Darris, and they did a bunch of albums with him from like 1993 up until, well, sometime around, I don't know, a couple of years ago, 2016 maybe, they decided to get everyone together. Everyone that's ever been in the band that's still alive and go on tour called Pumpkins United. So you got 3 singers on stage,
That's
you got
awesome.
3 guitar players, you got a bass player, drummer, and they were doing the entire catalog. And I didn't get to see them. I wanted to go see them, and I missed it, and I didn't see them. And then, they toured for like 2 years. They came over to the United States and everything. And they recorded one song with all the singers. And then they're like, oh, we're going to go and do a new album. Then COVID hit and all this other nonsense.
Everything stopped.
Yeah, pretty much everything stopped. And they're not doing another tour until next year, but they're dropping this album in June. So they released this song called Skyfall.
Just pulled it up, gave him a like.
Okay.
So,
let's check out a little bit of it. It's like I said, I kind of feel it's a little disjointed, but it has some of that goofy old school Halloween power metal vibes. You got 3 great power metal singers, 3 shredding guitar players, and their bass player Marcus Glozkopf does not get the appreciation that he deserves. He is so underrated as a bass player, and of course, my favorite vocalist of all time, Michael Kiske.
Yeah,
still sounds good.
How could you go wrong? Let's hear. Here's a single edit of Skyfall.
Video's kind of hokey though.
Yeah.
But that's Halloween. They're goofy people. They're a goofy
They don't
band.
take themselves too seriously, do they?
Not at all.
Nice little 90s CG alien.
And if you have to build a spaceship, you gotta build a spaceship that looks like a guitar, right?
Gotta make it look like a flying V, yeah. Nice dueling leads. Ooh, very fast. Oh, that's awesome. Now that's Kiske, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Still sounds the same.
I was gonna say, it sounds just like those earlier albums from the 80s that I listened to so many weeks ago. Gotta love having 2 different kicks. Now I wonder here, how much of it is this Kiske himself multi-tracking this part here, or is it the other singers doing the sub vocals there?
I'm not sure. I know in some parts it's more.
They sound a lot like him.
Yeah. On some parts, I think you can tell that they're all 3 of them are doing it. In some parts, it's maybe just him. I don't know. But some parts it's more upfront with the other voices, and you can hear different voices in other parts of the song. And there, it's probably him multi-tracking himself. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to tell listening to him with the speakers I'm listening to. There I can hear two voices.
Yeah, I agree. Very cool. Very, very cool. Good stuff. I like it so far.
Yeah, it's a good song that has a bunch of different changes in it. You know, in that 7-minute single edit.
Mhm.
So I'm just assuming that the
Full
15-minute
version is going to have
version
even
is
more
gonna be
stuff,
better, yeah.
different sections, bridges, perhaps stuff that we
Yeah,
haven't.
well,
heard
there
yet.
are. They're just shortened in this edit. So it's kind of, I thought it was a little disjointed sounding after like that second time around. Pretty much where you stopped, it kind of goes into something else, but it's just a little too short. And the next part just seems a little, it seems like there's missing parts because there are,
Okay.
and that, maybe it's just because I know there's more to the song that I'm like, oh, it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
They let another song, I'm going to say they let another song leak because that's usually what happens. Already been taken down. I think it's called Indestructible or something like that, which is a real straightforward power metal song, which is, I like that even better than Skyfall. So I'm looking forward to this album. It's going to be a self-titled album coming out in June. I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully they're going to really use this 3 guitars and 3 singers to the best of their
full creative potential.
Yeah, right.
I'm excited to see that too. That would be really nice. If that's
Now,
the case, I'll pick it up.
Let's move down. Let's move down to one last thing. There's one last thing I want to check out because you got to check this out. Bill McClintock does these mashups of 2 different songs, usually 2 different weird genres. He mashed up the Jackson 5 with Megadeth and called it Sweating Robins. If you haven't clicked on this yet, you should do that immediately.
I just
It
did
is
right
so
now.
good.
Yeah, I could. It's funny enough. Like I'm on Facebook every day, but so much of this stuff just completely passed me up and fell off my radar. I didn't see any of this. So this is fun. I'm glad we're doing this. Let's check it out. Yeah, see, there it is. I just gave it a like right now.
Sweating Robins. I wish I had more time in the day because this is the kind of stuff I'd be editing and putting on YouTube because I think this is great.
I'm excited.
The real me in my misfits way of life. Dark black past is my most valued possession. Hindsight is always 20/20, but looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy. Speak of mutually assured destruction. Nice story, Todd the Reader's Digest.
That is amazing.
It's great. It's great.
That is fantastic. That is nothing short of fantastic. I love it.
Whenever someone posts something like that, I got to thank Len Darren for that. He found that online and I shared it onto our site.
Okay.
Really, anybody that follows us on Rock Talk, please, anything fun, interesting, goofy like that.
Whatever. Anything music, we'll
post
take.
it, share it on the board.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
We'll post it. We'll share it. We'll comment on it. We'll feature it on the episodes naturally as we progress here.
I really dig that. That just works. I don't know why it works well, but it does. And I would never have thought to put those 2 together.
Neither would I have, but that is a match made in heaven if I ever heard it.
So, that's pretty much what's been going on for the last week or so on our Rock Talk board,
At
really.
least on the page. Yeah.
Yeah, on the page. So let's talk about before we close out, what have you been listening to lately?
Yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff. I've been taking advantage, especially, it's one thing when we do like the segments every week and we try to focus on topics and we have our main listening assignments. So that's usually a lot for me to juggle in. But since we've been taking a few weeks off, I've I've been kind of dabbling and scouring the depths a bit and listening to stuff. So I finally finished all of Meshuggah's discography of all of their studio albums. You know, those of you that are following along, you know, when we did our January 2021 episode, we did a whole thing on music that was released 30 years ago in 1991, the year I was born, which is
Right.
where all this Meshuggah stuff started for me. Because they once again, they were always a band I wanted to check out. I always kind of liked them, but never really gave them a fair listen. So I went to
And I wrote them off totally. I just thought they were a generic thrash band.
Yeah, which they cannot be further from the truth, as we both have discovered. And I never even knew they were thrash. I've always heard them in the more gent light in recent years, but seeing that they had Contradictions Collapse in 1991 was a real eye-opener for both of us for many different reasons. And that spawned for me, I said, well, shoot, I'm gonna just go right through their whole catalog and see what happened and really give them a fair listen. And sure enough, the further along I went, the more I fell in love with them. So there's going to be a listening assignment for you in the very near future. Their album called Obzen, which is probably my favorite out of all of the ones I listened to so far. Well, that one I listened to multiple times. And then I just recently did the ones that came after that. There's an album called Kolos, which I thought was really, really good. I heard mixed reviews about their most recent, what the heck is it called? I could just find it in my history, probably.
I got it here. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
The
pull
most
it up.
recent one?
Yeah.
That would be
Violent Sleep of
the
Reason.
Violent Sleep of Reason. Yes.
Yeah, there, it just came back to me. So I just did that. That one was really, really good. I really enjoyed it a lot. Like, I was like putting hearts on every single song when they were popping up in Spotify. I was like, this song is great. This song is great. Ooh, this song is great. I was like just going right down. I love it. I'm definitely going to listen to that one more times. I think it's really, really great. I enjoyed it a lot. Something about Obzen just really hit me the first time. So I kept going back to it. And sure enough, it's been, for me, it's been a good palate cleanser because I've been trying to do some other stuff too. And if I found something I didn't particularly like, I would just go right back to Obzen and then do that again to like work out whatever I just heard out of my system. So that's been a big part of my musical adventures. Naturally doing all the accordion stuff for the Legend of Zelda music. So I've been listening to that to get an idea how to play it all and how to get all my transcriptions done. Been listening to that. I revisited, a band that I should be listening to constantly. So this week I gave them a lot of listens. And we talked about them earlier on the show, Spock's Beard.
Yeah.
Any prog rock guy out there, if you do not know Spock's Beard, you need to change that. You need to listen to them. They are, I want to say, they're like right up there, like with Kansas as like a quintessential, like American style prog rock band with amazing sound. The more I listen to them, the more I fall in love with them. Every aspect of it, the singing, the guitars, the keyboards, the drums, the grooves, the formats, the structures, the harmonies, the everything. I would say the top two personal favorites for me out of their most recent stuff that I can easily pull up on Spotify and listen to, because some of their older stuff I don't think is on there. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know it's harder to find. I know that.
Yeah, so I've been just doing the stuff that's easy to find, which is probably a shame. I should be going back and trying to get everything. So I'll have to go to YouTube maybe, or just, find other, maybe iTunes, see if they're on iTunes. I'm actually going to do that as soon as we're done with our segment tonight. I'm going to do some shopping around. But looking at Brief Nocturnes and Endless Sleep, that's an album we talked about extensively because it was one of Jeff's listening assignments.
So good.
Really, really good. I really like X. There's an album I want to say from like 2010, 2011 called X. I listened to that a couple times. I haven't
listened to that in a while. I have to go back to that one.
Yeah, that one's really, really good. I want to say I looped the song Quiet House from that album like 35 times in a row. I can't get enough of that riff at the beginning of it. And there's a few other riffs that they kind of sprinkle through. The guitar playing in that song in particular is amazing, and I love it to pieces. So I listened to that. I just did the most recent one, which I didn't like as much, but saying I don't like that one as much is like, it's still amazing progressive rock, and it's an awesome album, and you should definitely check it out if you're into that kind of music. I forget what it's called. It's really recent. Their most recent album, whatever the most recent album is, check that one out. There's a couple bangers on that. So I've been listening to a lot of Spock's Beard, a lot of Meshuggah. Like I said, I revisited a lot of the later post-Portnoy era Dream Theater stuff. because like I recently picked it up and wanted to. I have a little catalog of like all my handpicked favorite Dream Theater songs on a playlist on my phone, which is naturally all the Portnoy stuff. So I thought, well, let me go through and kind of handpick some other ones from the Mangini era. So I've been listening to those albums to get a better idea of what they're all about. So I've been covering a lot of bases, mostly progressive stuff. Naturally, that's my favorite. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been very fun. What about you, Jeff?
Well, I've been listening to an audiobook called Nothing But a Good Time, The Uncensored History of 80s Hard Rock Explosion, which is just a bunch of interviews from all the 80s bands from LA, from that whole kind of Sunset Strip era. There's interviews with the guys from Poison about, starting out, the interviews guys from Rats and Wasp, and then there's some interviews with guys from Guns N' Roses. And then, of course, also they talk about what was going on closer to us on the East Coast with the Philadelphia scene, mainly interviewing the guys from Skid Row and Cinderella, Brittany Fox, that era of bands. So I was listening to that, which kind of got me to start listening to some of those albums again. I pulled up, I've listened to this before. I went back to it recently. Cinderella Night Songs is a fantastic album, which isn't as glammy as I remember it, actually. I was listening to that, but I was mainly just this audiobook and the heavier side, since I gave you that Nevermore album to listen to, I went back to listen to a lot more of their stuff, and I forgot how much I liked the album before Dead Heart in a Dead World, which was called Dreaming Neon Black. I jammed to that 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks. Cool. I really like that. I know you hate that guy's voice, so I know that's probably not something you're going to revisit, but Dreaming Neon Black is a great album. It's dark, it's evil, it's depressing, and it's heavy. Some of it's even heavier.
You do you. If it makes you happy, that's great.
Yeah.
Listen to
it does. It does. Now, and I also did listen to, I went back to their former band, Sanctuary, and I listened to Into the Mirror Black again, which I really like. I know I when we were going to, the weeks we took off, one of your assignments was Into the Mirror Black by Sanctuary. I figured maybe you like this one better because it's a little less of Warrell Dane doing his deep evil kind of thing. I don't even know if you even gave it a listen or if you forgot about it.
I don't think I listened to it yet because I remember because we weren't planning on doing an episode, so I figured, I'll just wait till we do an episode, and then
I went back to listen to that. Yeah, you're probably gonna hate the vocals again. I'm just telling you.
Well, that's okay. I'll listen to it. I'll put myself.
I went back to listen to it again after we were talking. And we did the whole Nevermore thing. I had gone this Nevermore kick again, and so I went back to Sanctuary, listened to that album again, and it's a little bit proggier than I remember, which is great because I like that. Keep the interest and stuff. Vocally, like I said, it's more of his higher register stuff that you're probably gonna be like, okay, fingers on the chalkboard kind of sound.
I'll stomach it. Don't worry.
It's not down tuned. I don't think so. There's no like real heavy drop D stuff in it because it was done, I think, like in 89 or 90. So it was kind of before that took over. But to me, it's a solid late 80s, early 90s, like kind of thrash. It's not actual thrash, like it's not like Rust in Peace thrash, but it's like a prog thrash kind of vibe to it. I like that album too. So listen to that. But mainly it's like driving to work. I've been listening to this audiobook because it's just interesting to hear like what 30, 40 years on, they're saying like this is what really went on. This is what we were doing, and a lot of it's girls, drugs, and booze and stuff like that. But a lot of it's
all the
like,
same things you hear all the time, right?
Yeah. A lot of it's like, about them struggling, having no money, or, how they did what they did, and how they got to where they were. And some things that you didn't know
about.
From
the source is probably really enlightening.
Yeah. And behind the scenes stuff too, of how they're recording this, or who didn't want to do what, or, what almost, what song almost went this way and what song almost went that way. And,
what song almost never happened, that kind of
stuff like that. Yeah. Just today I was one of the guys from Poison was talking about the producer wanted that "Talk Dirty to Me" song to be more like a almost having like a dance beat behind it, almost like they wanted the beat from "White Wedding" by Billy Idol to be the beat for "Talk Dirty to Me," the song by Poison, which I can't imagine the song having that boppy kind of groove to it if you're just going to go 4 on the floor straight like White Wedding is,
Mhm.
just little stuff like that. I always interest me when people talk like the decisions that were made behind the scenes,
Lets you kind of
these-
tune into like that, like alternate parallel universe stuff. Like what would
Yeah.
have happened in like this dimension if that happened, and like that song would totally suck as compared to
yeah.
a song
or
that's totally
maybe it would
great.
be
Or this
yeah, or
song
maybe
would be an absolute masterpiece and banger
Who knows?
compared to something that's kind of meh over here in our world.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, that
Talk
kinda
Dirty to
stuff
Me
is
is not a
fun.
masterpiece, but as far as like a pop rock masterpiece, maybe it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it. That's all I got for you this week, man.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Very cool.
Close it down for me, man.
Well, those of you that have been, following us this whole time and have been holding out for an episode, at long last, here we are. Thank you for your patience. We've, as Jeff mentioned, we've had a whole bunch of just craziness going on between the Easter holidays and, just, this miserable COVID life we're all leading and juggling stuff, and me having all my accordion adventures, and Jeff going through some different things on his end. So, we appreciate you all holding out and waiting for us to come back. We hope to deliver some more weekly content in the next couple weeks as the weather gets nicer and the nights get longer and we have a lot more rock to talk about. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. And now it's time to go eat pizza and drink some beer.